Welcome to Health Begins Inside, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of holistic healing, wellness, and the mind-body connection. I'm Megan, and I'm here to help you uncover the power of natural health from the inside out. Today, we're exploring one of the most essential yet often overlooked aspects of wellness, detoxification. Our bodies are constantly exposed to toxins from food, the environment, and even stress. But how do we truly cleanse and restore balance? To guide us through this important conversation, I'm joined by a true expert in the field, physician assistant Kimberly Shirk, the owner of South Carolina Center of Integrative Medicine. Kimberly specializes in holistic healing, blending conventional medicine with functional and integrative approaches to help her patients achieve optimal health. In this episode, we'll discuss the science of detoxification, the best natural ways to support your body's cleansing processes, and how integrative medicine can play a key role in your healing journey. Whether you're feeling sluggish, dealing with chronic symptoms, or simply looking to optimize your well-being, this conversation is packed with insights you won't want to miss. So sit back, take a deep breath, and get ready to nourish your health from the inside out. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Health Begins Inside. I'm Megan, nurse practitioner here at South Carolina Center of Integrative Medicine, and I am joined today again with Kimberly Shirk, PA here, and we're going to talk about detox.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be here.
I am so excited to dive into this one because it's one of my favorite topics. I love toxic burden and how to help the body naturally get beyond that.
Yes.
So let's just start off with talking about the body's innate detoxification process, what it is, like what the organs are involved in. And let's start with that. What is it?
It's great. I mean, our bodies are so intelligently designed. I mean, this is one of my favorite things too, because when you really scale back and you look at how we were created, like, it is incredible, all of the things that we naturally do on a daily basis to get rid of the toxins that we're exposed to regularly. And so everything from our digestive tract, like the things we put in our mouth and the way that our digestive tract is designed to block out the toxins from being absorbed, to push them through so that they move through our bowels easily. Things that do get through, there's other defense mechanisms in place, right? Like things that end up in our blood all get filtered through the liver and the kidneys. And then if things make it through there, they go through the lymph system and they come out of our skin. So there's all these checks and balances in our body to make sure that these toxins that we're exposed to just by living in this world don't harm us. And are able to be removed just by our natural design.
Yeah. So, what would be some signs and symptoms of somebody who is experiencing toxic burden and needs a detoxification?
Sure. There are lots of symptoms, and often they're the vague ones.
Yes.
Right? The ones where people are like, it just doesn't make sense. I have all these weird things nobody can figure out. Well, so brain fog is probably one of the biggest ones, right? Where people say like, God, I'm just not as sharp as I used to be, or I lose my words sometimes. Like I have it in my brain, but it just won't come out. That can be a big sign of toxic burden. And then it kind of, I guess we can just move down the body, right? So brain, skin is another really big one, right? So
skin's a huge organ, people. It's an organ.
Yeah. And it's a secondary pathway of detoxification. So by the time we are breaking out or having rashes, it means that the kidneys, the liver, and the lymph have all been backed up for a long time.
Yes.
So the skin is that's usually the one that people start to pay attention to.
Yes.
Because it's uncomfortable, really, like itchy or burning. But then it also doesn't look good. And
visualization, they can see it.
You can physically see
they
it.
only feel the other symptoms, but they can't see it.
Yep. Joint pain can be a big one.
That's another good one.
The body's really self-protective, right? So if these toxins make it past all of the defense mechanisms we have already in place, the body's not dumb. It's not going to take that toxin and put it in your heart or your spleen, like these vital organs. It's going to shunt it to your fat cells and it's going to shunt it to your joints because those are the least problematic places to put those toxins.
Absolutely. So when we're trying to support our body's natural detoxification pathways, are there specific nutrients involved?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think one of the important things to remember about detox is such a big buzzword these days, right? And you can actually do a lot of damage to your body trying to detox too aggressively.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you have to be careful. And a lot of times it doesn't take much, right? Because the body already wants to do these things. There's usually just a little bit that's off, that's not responding properly. And so there are lots of great herbs that support the liver, right? And kind of open up the liver channels, allow phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 detoxes to occur. And then having the right amount of nutrients also supports the body's natural ability. So vitamin D and vitamin C and your antioxidants, those are huge.
B vitamins are big as part of the detoxification pathway in the liver. Yeah. So, and we need iron because we also have to support our mitochondria.
Yes.
We
They're
can't
the powerhouse, right?
Yeah. So as we're detoxifying, we actually have to continue to support our mitochondria because they're going to also feel the effect of that detoxification. So what are some like lifestyle habits like sleep and stress and exercise, and how do they play a role in our detoxification naturally?
Yeah, sleep is probably your number one indicator for your body's ability to detox. If you're not sleeping well, you might as well hang it up. Like nothing else you're going to do is going to help until you get your sleep under control. And what that means is, getting in bed and falling asleep within 15 to 20 minutes of laying down, getting an adequate amount of sleep, staying in bed for 8 to 9 hours if you can.
Restorative.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, figure out why are you waking up? What is it? Is your mind racing? Are you having to use the bathroom? Are you having GI issues? And fix those. You've got to correct those things before you even attempt to detox the body.
Since you happen to mention that people wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, the Chinese body clock indicates what hours of waking for the liver.
Exactly. So if you're consistently waking between 1 and 3 a.m., it means your liver's on overdrive. Your liver is clogged. It's kind of like the oil filter in your car, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to change it out, or you've got to support it every so often so that you can flush out those old toxins and, give it space to filter the new things that are coming down the pike.
Yeah.
So absolutely. 1 to 3 a.m. is a huge indicator of liver issues or liver congestion.
Because we do most of our detoxification at night, correctly?
All of it, pretty much. I mean, during the day, your body's consumed with digestion and breathing and physical activity. It doesn't have time to stop and detox. So we do all of that when we sleep.
Yeah. Let's discuss the impact of environmental toxins, our pollutants, our chemicals, and our everyday lives, and how we can minimize them. And I know you recently tried to do this in your own home, as did I.
Yeah. So I think there's so many environmental factors, right? And most people who have been with us a while or are on this journey of health know the big ones, right? Like the cleaning chemicals that are so dangerous that many people have in their homes, things like fragrances and scented candles and air fresheners, all of that stuff is so horrible. Endocrine disruptors, right? They destroy your hormones and your body's ability to make your own hormones. But one of the sneaky ones I think that slides in and slides past everybody is the plastics.
Yes. I'm so glad you said those words.
Yeah. And, it's because they seem harmless, right? They don't smell bad. You don't feel weird ththings on your hands when you touch them, but they shed, and microplastics get into our food. They get into our water. And you end up ingesting them. I think I read recently that people end up ingesting a credit card size worth of plastic every 6 months to a year.
That's insane.
That's a ton of plastic to be free floating in your blood, and in your nervous system. It can just wreak havoc.
I just was reading a study about how they biopsied a brain and found plastic particles in the brain.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing to think, but plastic is a matter of convenience for our country. And so it is literally in everything, packaging, like you said, Tupperware. So I did a full clean out.
Purge.
Yep,
Yes.
of my house. No more plastic cutting boards.
Yes,
All
that's
my
probably the biggest
That
one.
is a big one.
Between heating and plastic cutting boards, those are your biggest ways that plastics get into our system.
Absolutely, because you're cutting your food right on it, and you're actually tearing apart the plastic as you're cutting.
Every time you cut.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until we were having this discussion about you purging your house, and I was like,
yep.
Oh, I need to purge mine too.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
But another one that I want to just touch upon is cosmetics.
Yeah.
And lotions and creams that women use. We're learning that this stuff is being absorbed in topically. Our skin is it's the largest organ of our body.
Exactly.
And so these things are endocrine disrupting. So when you're looking at cosmetics and facial creams or lotions, sprays, what have you, we really need to be cognizant about that.
Absolutely. What's in them? How are they absorbed? What are the effects that they have on our body cumulatively?
Correct.
Right? It's one thing if you just are putting something on temporarily for a day or two to soothe an irritation on the skin. But if you're the type of person who's applying lotion every day after you shower for years and years and years, that can be really, really damaging to your system.
Yeah. And the good part about that is I believe we're seeing a change in culture now. And a lot of these industries are going, America has wised up. We need to stop putting excess chemicals in these products because they know they don't need them. They know that they're harmful. And so we're seeing a lot of cleaner versions on the market now. So learning how to identify those is really important. Yeah. Let's kind of look at what some of the specific herbs are to help our body detoxify.
Yeah. So most people recognize dandelion and milk thistle. Those are the two biggest ones that you see. And they come in all different forms. You can get them in a tincture. You can get them in capsules. They work great in a tea.
Yeah.
And so they're fairly gentle. You don't have to worry too much about a detox reaction or feeling worse before you feel better. But they really just nourish the liver.
Great. Yeah. Should we practice intermittent fasting while detoxing?
Ooh. So intermittent fasting in and of itself can be a hot topic, right?
Yeah.
And I think it has some health benefits.
And it actually has a supportive detoxification process in and of itself.
Can be a detox, right? So it depends. I would say it depends on the person. If you're worried, if you have a really big toxic burden, you might not want to fast and take a milk thistle at the same time, right? You may just dump too much. Sometimes fasting can be the perfect way to start a detox before you add any supplements, before you take anything. Fast and see how your body responds. What does it feel like to you when you go 24 hours without eating? If it's pretty intense, well, then that's another indication that you might need some more support.
Yeah, nutritional support for sure. How long should somebody expect to detox naturally and see a benefit?
That's also a great question and very individualized. But as a rule, our body's detoxing every single day. So, about every 6 months or so, 3 to 6 months, you want to do something to help your liver facilitate and your kidneys facilitate that process, just to kind of take that burden off of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to caveat to that, chronic health conditions, how does that impact the detoxification? So like an autoimmune disorder or a digestive disorder.
Yeah. So if someone has a chronic health condition, it often means they need to detox more.
That's right. Yeah.
But detox can also be heavier or more difficult on their body, more burdensome. So you might not be able to do something as intense as a full cleanse, right? But you could do something that's short term, maybe 7 days or 14 days. But you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
And talk to your provider, right?
Yeah,
your healthcare provider who can help you tease out those symptoms and figure out is this a beneficial, I feel bad, things are working and we just need to push through? Or is this too intense and we need to back down because we don't want to hurt the body in the process?
Right. Absolutely. Do you typically see weight loss with a detox?
Very often we see weight loss with detoxes because our body puts on weight. Again, fat cells are a safe place to store toxins. So if there's a toxic burden and, the body's looking for a place to put something, it may create more fat cells in order to encase that and to protect your body. So as we're opening up the liver and the body feels safe, it will break down the fat and it will flush out through the liver and the kidneys, and people will very often lose weight.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be a good time to like share my story about my toxic burden. So I was living in Korea, and there was some lead exposure there, as well as some other toxic things, pesticide exposure. Of course, I had tons of vaccines while I was there. So I gained almost 60 pounds in less than a month.
Yeah.
And it was very miserable. And by the time I got to a provider, the fat accumulation was pretty intense. And then
so awful.
The detoxification process it was rough.
Yeah.
But over time, and it did take time, like, the first year I definitely saw a substantial amount of weight come off, but then also learning that what I had experienced in Korea, I didn't know at the time, was lead poisoning, pesticide exposure, and all these other things. And so my body's reaction was because the toxic burden was so great.
Yeah, your liver and kidneys just couldn't keep up.
And I didn't have that concept or understanding at the time because I wasn't functionally aware of that information yet.
Right.
And so that was something that I just kept thinking, why am I gaining weight? Why am I gaining weight? I didn't even put two and two together that I was being exposed to something in my environment that my body didn't want and couldn't get rid of.
Yeah.
So going through the detox process, I did see a substantial weight loss, and it was a long process. And I still think that it still is,
for sure.
I think I'm in agreement with you. I think people should at least try detoxing 2, 3, 4 times a year just to help facilitate the liver, the kidneys, the skin, like all of the lymphatics.
Yep. Exactly.
Just continue to flush those things out that we're constantly being exposed to daily.
Yeah.
So
if you live here in the Southeast, probably the number one environmental toxin exposure is mold.
Yeah.
And we see that all the time. A lot of times people come for an appointment with us just because they can't lose weight. And that is one of the biggest things that we find is mold exposure or mold toxicity when the weight just won't come off. You can be doing all of the right things, eating perfectly, drinking plenty of water, exercising appropriately, and the weight won't budge if you are exposed to mold.
Yep.
Always.
Always. I see that too. What's some of the mental health components with the detoxification? Or I guess we could say the toxic burden that might occur, because I think we see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about brain fog, initially, but depression, apathy, anxiety, panic, we see all of those with too much toxins. The neurotransmitters are made in your gut. And so if your gut is too busy trying to filter out all of these toxins, it can disrupt how your neurotransmitters are produced.
Yeah.
And then how that affects your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. So are there any other pearls of wisdom to share with our listeners today who might be interested in what a detoxification looks like and how the body functions, like as far as the detoxification process naturally, holistically would be?
Yeah, I think detoxing alone probably is never a good idea.
Agreed.
I think it's important to have somebody who is knowledgeable on the body. It can be a great health coach. It can be a healthcare provider. But you need to be aware of your body. You need to listen to your body. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of damage to their body because they just went full speed ahead, full bore, didn't do any type of prep work, weren't drinking enough water, weren't having enough bowel movements to support a detox process.
You have to poop every day.
You have to. Yeah. Or all of that stuff you're trying to provoke your body to remove just gets stuck in your colon and it gets reabsorbed. Now the body's fighting to, re-detox it again. So have support, go low and slow always. And if you have questions, ask.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we are going to be hosting a doctor detox with your doctor here at SCCIM. So we're really excited about that. That's going to be a 14-day detoxification program. So if you are interested, we are here to support you on your detoxification journey.
Yeah.
I'm super
excited to walk through this with our patients and with our community, because again, support is everything, and being able to ask questions and understanding why you feel the way you do. Is this okay? Or does this mean I should stop? Or is this an indicator of something more significant going on?
Yeah.
And it encompasses all the things that we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
So it is, there's some fasting involved. There's some elimination of foods that can cause inflammation in the body to give the body the right blueprint it needs to move toxins through. And then some supplements, right, that support mitochondrial health and support liver in its health and kidneys and stuff like that. So
I'm super excited
that's
about
going
that.
to be great.
Well, thank you so much for being with us again today. We always love having you, and I look forward to the next podcast with you.
Yes.
So that is all for now. Thank you so much for joining us today on Health Begins Inside.
Take care.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Health Begins Inside. I hope you found this conversation as insightful and empowering as I did. Detoxification is such a vital part of our overall well-being, and taking small steps to support your body can make a world of difference. A huge thank you to Kimberly for sharing her expertise, and to all of you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit from this knowledge. And don't forget, our next episode is one you won't want to miss. We'll be diving into sun health, skin cancer prevention, and how to protect yourself while enjoying the outdoors. It's going to be packed with practical tips to keep you safe and glowing all year round. Until next time, remember, true health begins inside. Take care.